Hi guys, it's Granny Tana speaking. Welcome to this FS25 mod preview video. I'm still working on my garden mod, but I'm coming to the end. All buildings are more or less finished. They need some more polishing and testing and such, so it will still take 1 or 2 more days to become ready for Modhub, but I reached 2 more huge steps that I want to show to you. So the first one is the 16 times garden. And it's 16 times as big as the normal garden, and the normal garden is as big as the large greenhouse. And this 16 times garden produces 20 times as much as the normal garden. And here we can see it. I have all crop types growing here. And here it's nearly as big as a field, and it produces much more than a field, but that is very realistic. In reality, it is so that when you have a vegetable garden and you do it professional, you get much more yield and you can much more money from the same area as when you grow normal crops, farm crops on it, like wheat or so. So this is much more productive if you grow vegetable and such. So this is a micro gardening farm. And if you look out for micro gardening or micro farming, yeah, it's called micro farming, and it's large gardening, and yeah, then you can see there are people out there who earn quite a lot of money with a rather small area, and they grow different kinds of vegetable crops most of the time, and they make the most money from lettuce, like in FS25. So this is very realistic. Okay, here as you can see, it's quite huge, and I must admit I love it, how it is so different green types and colorful with the sunflowers, and I really love to walk inside. Yeah, and now we go to the recipes. Oh, and I increase the time a little bit that I can show you some special features. So now we have a look at the recipes. So we have all kinds of crops. So there are all crop types that grow in the normal greenhouses, and there are other crop types that are considered as garden crop types in normal gardens, but we have them in FS25 as a field crop, and especially those that are difficult to harvest. Let's start with the carrots. In a normal garden you will find carrots, a lot of them, and therefore they have their place in my gardens, and on the fields they are a pain to harvest. And I thought, well, maybe why not? It's easy to grow them in a garden. You get carrots and it's not so hard, and it's really absolutely realistic. And the same is with here, those are from the greenhouses, chili peppers, garlic, then the grapes. Here in this area where I live, it's a wine area, and in a lot of gardens people have grapes for their private use. So this is typical for gardens as well. And the green beans, here the lettuce from the greenhouse, and the Napa cabbage. The olives is a little bit more special, but in southern areas, people have their olive trees in their gardens. So, and to be honest, it's difficult to harvest and grow in Farming Simulator, but you see them in gardens. Then we have parsnips and peas and potatoes. They are not so difficult to grow in Farming Simulator, but I think a garden without potatoes is no real garden. I know that's not true. You can have a garden without potatoes, but I think they are important for gardens. Then we have red beets, spinach, the spring onions and strawberries from the greenhouse, and the sunflowers are here because I really, really love them. And they are typical for gardens too, not so much for growing the seeds, but more as flowers. And I really like to have them in my gardens. And tomatoes from the greenhouse. And yeah, maybe you already saw, there are always 2 recipes. And let's take the tomatoes. They are somehow my go-to basic recipe. And here, in this normal recipe, which is coming from the normal greenhouses, so the recipes for the normal crops, the normal greenhouse crops, are the same like in the greenhouses. But here we have more of it for sure, because this is the big one. But here you can see the principle. You put 1 part water inside and get 1 part tomatoes times 16. And this is cycling through 5,280 times per month. And then you have the variation with seeds and fertilizer. And here I had to change to mold the recipes. So the end result should be, I want to get double the amount of tomatoes, same with the other recipes, but I only want to put inside a little bit of seeds and solid fertilizer, because in reality it is like that. You only need very few seeds to grow tomatoes, and you only need very little fertilizer compared to what you get out. And therefore I had to turn all the numbers around, and that we have the end result is double the amount of tomatoes than the water recipe, but we have only a few seeds. So with this recipe, that wouldn't have worked. I could have said, okay, we put in 1 seed and 1 fertilizer on this 16 times recipe, but that would have been too much seeds and fertilizer. That is unrealistic and too expensive. That is the main problem. So if you look out for the recipes, you have to calculate through all this to see, okay, that's how it works. You have to calculate the cycles per month with all those numbers, and then you see, okay, I get double the amount of tomatoes, and I only put in some seeds and fertilizer, that it is not too expensive with the seeds and fertilizers. Yeah, so this is about the recipes. Yeah, and maybe you see there are only recipes with water, and other than that with seeds and solid fertilizer. And maybe you ask yourself, where is the manure? I want to have recipes with manure. Yes, I heard you. But I thought it's just too much to have three recipes for every crop type. That would have been an overwhelming long list. And then I found something in the documentation of the XML, and they have a fill type converter. When you unload something here, so as a modder you can define a fill type converter. And I thought, oh, this is great. Then if you put inside manure, you just get fertilizer from it, and then I only need 2 recipes per crop. And that's what I did. But it's not a one-to-one, because manure, the worth of the manure is much less than fertilizer. Fertilizer is much more expensive. Therefore, if you put inside 5 parts of manure, you get 1 part of fertilizer. And this is something I want to show to you. And I was so happy that I discovered that, because like that we still have a long list of recipes, but not much longer. So first we check on how much fertilizer do we have. We have only 151 liters. And now I unload the manure. It takes a while, but it's nice to see this huge garden from above. Okay. Now we have 3,851 liters of fertilizer. So we have much more fertilizer now. And yeah, I found that very useful. I hope there won't be too many support questions. So like, oh, where is my manure and why don't I find recipes for manure? Therefore, I think I will make tutorial videos about this garden, because there are some special features that I find very, very useful, but maybe lead to support questions, and then it's good to tell, okay, you better watch my tutorial video because this is so and so. This is about the manure thing. The other thing, that is special here, I'll show you later, because first I want to show you the distributor. And if you had my garden mods in FS25, you maybe know the distributor. The use of this distributor is if you have many gardens, or maybe gardens and greenhouses, maybe mushroom greenhouses also, then it's a whole lot of work to drive from greenhouse to greenhouse to fill it up with water and such. And therefore I thought I make a production building that takes all the water you need for all your gardens and greenhouses and distributes this water and fertilizer and seeds to all your greenhouses. And this is the distributor. And yeah, I changed it a little bit, as you can see. So before it was just one cylinder, and now I made some decorative elements like a pipe and so forth, and I like it much more. And it has color choice, and we have 2 configuration options. Either you have this open wooden hut, and the roof is, let's jump, here is the same material like that one. with color choice. And or if you don't like this rustic wooden look, you can have this container-like object. And the main reason why I made the changes and to change this from wood to, yeah, I think it's kind of plastic also. Because some people complained about the look. In FS22, this was made by wood, by the wood that I use for the fences, for the gardens. And some people said, no, they don't like it like that. And I thought about it and thought maybe this is because if an object has a form, a shape like that, you expect it to be either metal or plastic. Do you say plastic for this? I guess you will understand what I mean. But you don't expect it to be wooden, and therefore it doesn't sit well. And therefore I thought, okay, then I make it the same material as this silo and with color choice. And for people who likes more the wooden style, you have this thingy here. And first I show you the color choice and the configuration. This is in factories. And here you can see the icon is still the old one. I have to do the new icons and the screenshots, and there is still a lot to do before I can upload it to Modhub. Yeah, but I'm close to the finish line. So now I press F for customizing, and you can change from wooden hut to container and back again. And then you can have the color choice and you can choose whatever color you want. Oops. Oh, no. Back again. No. Stay here. It's a nice color, but I wouldn't choose it for this occasion. Here we have a list with different color choices, so you could have something like this beige cream color, or maybe something bluish. I personally like this dark green for this stuff, therefore I chose it. And as you can see, you have the full variety. So we don't need it because we already have it. And here there is something special. So you can unload everything here with your normal tractor, trailer and such. But if you want to be a little bit finicky and like your role play, you can deposit your stuff here. And here we have an empty box and with some leftovers, so to say. And the seeds here, they are only decorative. And when you come with your fertilizer, so with a forklift or like that, so you can see it fills up, and here it is emptying out, and then it is done. So you can play putting all the stuff into this area if you so wish, and then it fills up. And if you put in manure instead of fertilizer, it becomes brownish. But if you put in both, you will see the fertilizer. And this mechanism is the same like with the farm kiosk and the farmer's market. And it's a new built-in feature. And you can also use it for selling stations for productions. And it is not something that rises up. But when it hits a certain threshold from delivering, it just pops and it's there. And when you leave the game and come back, it's empty again. So it's different than a really fill plane that shows how much is inside. It's just a visual game, so to say. And it also happens when you come here with your tractor and your trailer and you unload here, then this also fills up. So it doesn't depend on delivering here. They just work exactly the same. It's just that I enlarged the unloading zone, because I know some people like it to bring their stuff directly to the place where it's needed. Okay, so now the last main point that I wanted to show to you. Maybe we speed it up. And oh no, I have to tell you something before I can show you. So, about the amount of stuff that you will get out of those gardens. Did I tell you already that the new greenhouses are more productive than the old ones? They are much more productive. And I took the recipes from the new greenhouses, the large new greenhouses, for my small or normal sized garden. So we have an enlarged productivity compared to FS22. And when you use this recipe with fertilizer and seeds, you get double the amount. So this is quite a lot. With normal greenhouse or this normal garden, if you only grow tomatoes, you get around 4 pellets each month, which is nice to have, and you can handle it, 4 pellets per month. And if you would use the fertilizer recipe, you would get 8 pellets per month if you only grow tomatoes. That would be already a little bit hard, at least after, let's say, 3 months or so. You would think, oh, every day I have to load and unload those 8 pellets of tomatoes. But this is only the small gardens. And the tomatoes, which is a high price product. And I made the recipes so that you earn around the same amount of money with each crop than with the tomatoes, or rather a little bit more. So if I had to change the number a little bit, what was always the case, I raised it compared to the tomatoes, but only slightly, that you had a good recipe. But for the carrots and beetroots and potatoes, you need much, much more product to earn the same amount of money. Therefore, you would get at least double the amount or 4 times the amount than with the tomatoes. So even with the small gardens, you would be overwhelmed from all the carrots and beetroots that you would get. And then we have the bigger ones, the 4 times and the 16 times, and which produces 20 times as much than the normal sized. And I did the math, because today when I was testing and all those carrots were popping out of the garden, even if I had 17 different kinds of crops growing there, I thought, oh, that could become a problem. How many carrots and red beets would you get from such a greenhouse if you use the fertilizer recipe and if you only grow beetroot roots. Yeah, and you might guess. And if you like, you can write it in the comments below. What is your guess? How many liters or how many thousands of liters of beetroot would you get in the big garden, the 20 times garden, with the fertilizer recipe if you only grow beetroots? And I tell you, we first start with a normal size garden. You would get 80,000 liters of beetroot. In the 4 times garden, you would get 152,000 liters. And in the big garden, this one, you would get 760,000 liters of beetroot. This is the power of adding up. And I thought, oh God, no, that is not such a good idea. And even if those pellets are 2,000 liter pellets, you would still get 380 of those pellets per month. And I think even if you love to use your forklift and go back and forth, this is too much for everybody. What to do? And there are 2 obvious solutions. One is grow a bigger variety in your garden, like I do here. If I only had beetroot, the pellets would just pop out like popcorn here. Pop, 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 pop. And so a bigger variety helps, and you can set it to direct sell, or if you have another factory, you can set it to distributing, and then you don't see the pellets. But what if you don't want to do it? And I can imagine it. People who are really desperate because they can't handle all their pallets, and they call me in the middle of the night. No, they write at Discord or so, but that is bad enough. They say, oh, I have 300 boxes of red beet. I don't know what to do. And therefore, I have a solution. I found one. But this is only a solution that works for the bulk fruit types, like the beetroot and the carrots and the spinach and all this kind of stuff that you also can grow on the field. But nevertheless, for those fruit types, I have a solution. So you could set it to distribute, like here. The carrots are distributing. That means they don't spawn here. If I would have a factory that produces something, okay, then it's still okay just to send it over there and then we get the product. But if you only have your gardens, they are stored inside the garden, invisible. And then you can come here. And here I show you there is this symbol with this bucket here. This is new. You press the R key and then you can get the red beet, olives, spinach, green beans, sunflowers, carrots, peas, grapes, parsnips, potatoes and red beets again. Let's fill up the red beets. And with a trailer it's so much easier to transport bigger amounts of stuff. You could use the TARDIS trailer, and then it's not such a big deal to handle all those red beets. And I'm speaking about the red beets because they are the most productive of all the garden crops, from the amount of stuff that is produced. Yeah, so this is the last trick for the garden for today. And therefore I will do a tutorial later. Yeah, now you might ask, what are my plans with this garden? And I should have said it in the first minute of this video, this will come out for console. Yes, will come out on Modhub for all platforms. And so I still have to test it, and testing doesn't only mean I test it and then it's done. No, if I discover something that is not so good, then I need to repair it. And then that can take some minutes or some hours or some days. So in the testing period, you can never say the testing is done until then and so then. I test it until I think it's okay, and I don't know how long it will take, because sometimes even small things take a long time. I could show you something that I'm still working on that is not such a big deal, but it takes a lot of time. And I think here is a good example. When you open this, this is not looking nice. And for the 4x garden, I already changed it that all the fences and greenhouse doors, they line up good, that it looks more like that. That is not perfect, but that this is worse, that it is cutting into the wrap. Yeah, and it's a small thing, but it takes hours. So it took me already hours for the 4x garden, and luckily I only have the same amount of doors in this extra large garden. Therefore it won't take 4 times as much, only the same time. But it will still take some time. And yeah, if you didn't know that you can lift up a greenhouse, here you saw it, and you can lift it up and lower it whenever you want. Yeah, so I don't know yet when it will be finished, but I hope it will only take 1 or 2 more days for me to finish it. There are the last finishing touches before the Modhub, or like the icons and the screenshots. And when the mod is ready to upload, then I will make another video and show you the whole mod, because this is only the large garden and the distributor. And then when it's finally tested, which will take weeks, I hope only weeks, maybe months, and it is released at Modhub, then there will be another video with the official mod presentation. Okay, that's it for this short video about my latest accomplishments of my upcoming garden mod. And I wish you a wonderful first day in this new year. If you want to buy FS25 or a DLC, feel free to use my code Tana. You'll find the link for the PC version in the video description. It doesn't cost you anything extra and supports me a lot. Now I wish you a wonderful day, thank you for watching, and all the best till next time. Tschüss!